Hey!
If you go down this, you're stuck down there.
Come on. Oh my God.
What? Oh, dude.
In the blink of an eye, a normal day can spiral into absolute terror. Whether it's a car of journalists forced to smash through a violent ambush or an explorer's dog camera catching a stranger silently hiding in the dark, the danger is real. If you were in their shoes, would you freeze or find a way to escape? On August 27th, 2014, a tense piece of footage was uploaded to YouTube by a channel named TV Rain. In the video, a group of journalists from Pskov are heading toward a cemetery to film a report about increasing car accident deaths. It appears to be a normal assignment, nothing out of the ordinary, but before they even arrive, something feels wrong, and within seconds, the entire situation shifts into something far more dangerous than they ever expected.
Я сейчас по дороге, на дорогу буду выходить. Больше нет никого? Ну что будем делать?
На территории нового кладбища на автомобиль. Район Кресты, нападение на автомобиль. Да.
Сейчас давайте. Я не знаю, что будем делать.
Кидают камнями. Мы не успеваем уехать. Кидаются под колеса.
Куда звонить?
Хотят, не знаю.
Мы там не проедем вот насквозь?
Нет. Это район Кресты, новое кладбище. Петляново. Да. Я не знаю,
Да.
Так, сейчас смотрим. Так, главное, чтобы не куда-нибудь не... Какие-то люди нам преграждают дорогу, мы на машине, сейчас пока мы не выходим. Вот, можно вывести в эфир, это будет романтично.
Ну, непонятно. Молодые люди.
Не, туда не надо, там он.
Подожди.
Да, но их несколько, и они со всех сторон бегут. Петлянова! Да.
Они вам камеру разобьют.
Санкт-Петербург, проспект Солидарности, дом 12, квартира 2.
Тихо. Назад, давай. Ребят, что хотите? Чего?
Нас напали, проткнули колеса, мы не можем уехать.
Меня просили съездить. Подожди, не надо.
Милицию надо вызывать.
Out of nowhere, a man wearing a dark hoodie steps directly in front of the car. At the same moment, another runs toward the tires. The way they move feels intentional and coordinated. The journalists try to communicate, attempting to understand what is happening, but there is no response. Only fists striking the windows. In that moment, the driver realizes something critical. If they stay there any longer, they are trapped. So she makes a split-second decision and drives straight through the blockade. They manage to escape without injuries, but watching the footage now, it's difficult not to think about how quickly this could have turned into something much worse. Because if the tires had blown or the windows had shattered, the situation could have become life-threatening within seconds. Sometimes situations escalate before anyone fully understands what's happening, and small decisions end up making a huge difference later. But it also raises a simple question. If you had been in that same position, would you have reacted the same way or hesitated for just a second longer? On October 15th, 2023, a deeply unsettling video was uploaded to YouTube by a user known as Raised in Alaska. In the footage, a man heads out to document moose behavior during rutting season. What he captures is incredible, but to film it up close, he places himself in a highly exposed position. What starts as a memorable outing quickly becomes a life-threatening situation. 2 cow moose are working a rut pit, but without warning, one of them begins running toward the man. For a brief moment, he is unsure whether she's about to charge him. Because of how unpredictable moose can be, he needs to move away immediately. But he has no idea the situation is about to escalate even further.
This is a moose scrape, also known as a rut pit for moose. The moose paws the ground down to dirt first, then they urinate in it, splashing up and getting that on their horns, so it's like a big wick out there, and then they lay in it. Once they leave it, it's very common that other moose roll in it and roll around it and get that scent on them. I kind of sort of sometimes think that they want to smell like the big bull, so maybe the cows will, but this was very, very classic behavior.
A large bull moose suddenly charges directly at him at full speed, leaving almost no time to react. The man responds and steps backward just in time to reach safety. But in that short moment, he has already recorded exactly what he came there to film. There's no question how dangerous the encounter was. A charge like that can turn serious within seconds. Sometimes moments like this happen faster than expected, and decisions are made without any time to think. But it also raises a simple question. Would you have stayed that close, knowing the risk, or stepped back before things went that far? Our next video comes from Grizzly Gaz, a channel focused on solo bushcraft hot tenting and real-world gear testing. On October 23rd, 2023, he heads into an isolated forest in the United Kingdom. He isn't simply going on a normal camping trip. He wants to intentionally test a cheap wood stove inside a fully enclosed tent. He hikes deep into the trees, avoiding open areas, and passing on a spot near the water because the ground is too soft. He makes sure the location is completely secure before introducing the main hazard.
And that's it. Just 4 pegs, 1 pole in middle, that's it, done. Gear, bathtub floor that comes up probably about 3 inch. And it fits just perfect in here.
After collecting firewood and preparing his food, he starts the fire. To control the danger, he places a carbon monoxide detector beside his bed. It shows that he is actively monitoring the risk, rather than just hoping nothing goes wrong.
It's out with me, just in case. Carbon monoxide detector. So at least we know it works. There we go, there's the boudoir for the night. It's a bit of a continuation from my last 2 videos.
He then settles into his evening routine of cooking and eating. The woods remain completely silent, keeping all of his attention focused on how well the stove is performing.
You can smell, isn't it? She's been having a nose by that all night. There's something walking about outside. It's probably a deer. I think it's gone now.
Suddenly he stops and listens. He can't see what is out there, but he remains completely calm. He assumes it's only a wild animal moving through the area and doesn't allow it to panic him. The dark forest introduces a sense of uncertainty, but
freezing outside. Then I came back in here and it were absolutely lovely. Thought I may as well just let it die out now.
It never disrupts his plan. As the outside temperature falls to around 4 degrees Celsius, the inside of the tent remains warm, allowing him to safely fall asleep. This trip demonstrates that careful preparation keeps you safe when dealing with the wilderness. By managing the risks from the very beginning, he remained fully in control of the environment throughout the entire night. It really makes you think about trusting your equipment. Would you feel safe sleeping beside a burning stove in the woods? Or would you want to adjust the setup before going to sleep? On February 15th, 2016, a channel called Snowmobile's Snow Track uploaded one of the most chilling wildlife encounters ever captured on video. The footage shows a man riding his snowmobile deep through the isolated wilderness of Alaska. Unexpectedly, a massive moose stepped onto the trail. The rider naturally chose to stop his machine, intending to allow the animal to pass peacefully. However, simply pausing on the snowy path quickly turned into a life-threatening situation.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, hey, hey. Get.
Without warning, the huge animal suddenly turned and charged directly toward him. The rider first tried to scare the animal away, but his actions only seemed to agitate it even more. With no time to think, he pulled out his firearm and fired until the moose collapsed onto the ground. Wild animals can behave in completely unpredictable ways, and being miles away from any help makes an outdoor emergency far more dangerous. If you were completely alone, what would you do if a giant wild animal blocked your only path forward? In March 2023, YouTuber and urban explorer Matt, along with his friend Andy, uploaded a video to their channel Finders Beepers History Seekers, a channel centered around exploring abandoned locations across the United Kingdom. The two brought Matt's dog Bear with them during the visit. At first, the house appeared completely empty and still. As Matt and Andy moved through the ground floor, Bear started acting strangely.
This house, straight away, I've got a weird feeling about it. It just feels spooky. Off. It is very spooky. What is he doing?
I don't know, but you rode.
He's on a proper mad one tonight. Bear, go find it. Where is it? There's something weird about this place. I feel like we've just had the worst start to a video ever. Right, let's get looking around properly, instead of just looking at nothing.
He was restless and distracted in a way that was difficult to explain. Dogs are capable of detecting things humans miss through scent, sound, and instinct, and Bear seemed to be responding to something inside the house. Matt and Andy noticed his unusual behavior, but didn't treat it as serious. They continued moving through the rooms normally. At some point, they realized Bear had wandered off and gone upstairs by himself.
Not very much in the bottom. Is there anything in the... What was that? You hear like a whistle? Where's Bear? My concern is that... Oh, he's upstairs. Bear?
They didn't think much of it at first. Then Bear suddenly let out a loud bark from somewhere above them.
Right, boy. What's wrong with you? Just started barking randomly.
What's the matter with him?
You found a rabbit? I wonder if there's someone outside. Was he up? He was upstairs, wasn't he? But I just don't know if he'll look... Is the windows he can get to? Do you want to have a look up? There's nothing else down here to look at anyway.
Oh, you ain't done that. Don't go up now, he's blind by.
I know.
The two went upstairs to check on him. Moving through the upper floor, they found nothing immediately wrong. Bear had calmed down slightly, but the tension in the house still remained. Then, without warning, a loud knocking noise came from somewhere nearby.
Where's he gone in here? What have you found, Bear? I wonder if it's that curtain flapping around in wind.
Could be.
Bear, you're just causing so much bother. What the fuck? Did you hear that? Hello?
Bear's shaking.
Hello?
Matt and Andy froze. They could not determine where it came from. They considered several possibilities: another person, another explorer, an animal. Whatever it was, the sound felt too intentional to ignore. They headed back downstairs and carefully searched the ground floor again.
That wasn't just my imagination, that were it?
I thought it was him.
No, because he was stood with us. Hello? We're not secure. We're not going to do anything. We're not going to hurt you. Hello?
Nothing appeared. No sign of anyone. The house still looked empty. As the immediate tension began fading, they started discussing what could have caused the noise. That was when Matt remembered something. Bear had been wearing a small camera on his back the entire time. The dog had been upstairs alone, moving through the rooms, barking at something, and the camera had captured all of it. Matt pulled up the footage. As he watched, one clip immediately stopped him. A person was lying there, completely motionless, hidden in the darkness. That was the moment Bear had barked. He had moved close enough to notice whoever was hiding underneath.
His camera's in my hand of what he's just seen, and I hadn't looked at all the footage yet. I've just seen one thing and it has chilled me. So he's walking around that bedroom. Can you see?
I can just see, yeah.
We'll see better when we look at the footage properly, but look, when he turns back round towards the bed, there's an hand there, and he shits himself. He absolutely shits himself, and that's when we heard him barking.
After reviewing the clip, Matt and Andy realized someone had been inside the house with them the entire time. The person had remained hidden and made no attempt to approach them. Based on the circumstances, they believed it was likely a homeless individual or another explorer who had panicked and chosen to hide instead of being seen. Even with that explanation, the two left the house unsettled and ended the visit shortly afterward. Bear discovered what both the cameras and the two explorers failed to notice. Whatever reason the person had for hiding the dog sensed it before anyone else did. What do you think Bear picked up on first scent sound or something else entirely? This clip comes from Lisa's Escapades, a solo outdoor channel focused on remote camping. In places most people stay away from, forests, swamps, and isolated rural areas. On April 19th, 2026, she had set up camp in the Green Swamp area when the environment around her campsite stopped feeling normal.
I keep hearing stuff.
Her truck was parked, her equipment was unpacked, and her usual routine was underway. Then something disrupted it. There was movement behind her, faint, inconsistent, but happening often enough to pull her attention away from what she was doing. She stopped, listened, then returned to what she was doing. Then it happened again. Not a single random sound, but repeated disturbances coming from the same direction.
Just jumped out into that tree over there. There's a lot of wildlife out here. It's so peaceful.
The next thing she noticed was visual. Something moved quickly and climbed into a nearby tree, close enough to place it within the immediate area of her camp, but disappearing too fast to identify.
Deer screaming. Of course the camera wasn't running.
Then came another type of sound, knocking, deeper within the forest. It wasn't constant, but it was patterned and repeated, deliberate enough to stand apart from ordinary wildlife sounds. She pointed her microphone toward the noise and waited. Nothing appeared. Later, she reviewed footage recorded on infrared. In the distance, there were heat signatures, faint, unclear in shape, and too far away to properly identify. She called out toward them to see if anything would respond or move closer. Nothing did. The signatures remained where they were leaving the footage, in the same unresolved state, visible but unexplained. By the end of the night, the area had gone silent. There was no final moment and no direct encounter. Every sound and every shape stayed just distant enough to avoid a clear explanation. That's what makes footage like this difficult to dismiss and difficult to confirm at the same time. What do you think was moving around her camp that night? In September 2018, YouTuber and urban explorer Josh from the channel Exploring with Josh traveled to an abandoned school in Gary to record his next video. He arrived alongside a group of friends and began exploring through the building, still unaware of what had previously taken place inside it.
We are exploring an abandoned school. Gary is known for their churches and known for their schools, but today we're inside one school that closed down due to the fact that every school needed repairs. A lot of people are just moving out. The state needs money, and they voted this place off. Like, they didn't want to put the $2.8 million to repair this place.
At Emerson School, they found the girl's dead body in the basement.
That's crazy.
Yeah, she was dropped off there. Yeah, people dump bodies around here. So yeah.
It didn't take long before they discovered the history. Human remains had been discovered in that school before. It was the type of information that completely changes the feeling of a place. Even so, they continued moving through the building, staying cautious and paying attention to where they walked. Inside the auditorium, something suddenly caught them off guard.
This is what the other one looked like exactly. Oh my god.
What? Oh, dude. I didn't see you, man.
A figure was already standing in the room. It turned out to be a friend they hadn't noticed when they first entered. They continued exploring. Then a noise drew their attention toward the windows. Outside, a group of young men was approaching the entrance of the school.
Wait, they're coming in here?
Yeah, what else would they be doing?
Oh yeah, they're trying to come in here. Here's another guy right there. I don't know what he's doing.
What is he doing?
We got an OG in the car on this side. I don't know what's going on right here. They're around. They're like just throwing everything around. You can hear it. Oh, okay. Alright, so we're gonna book it here and just chill in the back for now and not be seen. Jose is somewhere around here, so we don't know what happened to him. But we did hear shouting. We're gonna stay up here and just hopefully, keep calling him up. He's not picking up his phone right now.
Josh and his friends watched as the group entered the building. The men started smashing objects and creating loud noise throughout the halls. One member of Josh's group had become separated, and nobody knew where he was or what was happening to him. The three of them made their way up to the roof and remained there. They stayed silent, listened to the sounds coming from below, and waited. Eventually, the group left the building. Once everything seemed clear, Josh and his friends came back down and continued walking through the remaining parts of the school before finally leaving. Despite the school's history and everything that happened during the visit, they didn't encounter anything that couldn't be explained. A building with that kind of past tends to attract different kinds of people. Some curious, others not. Josh's group managed to leave safely, but the situation on the roof could have turned out very differently. Would you have stayed to finish exploring or left as soon as that group appeared? The next video comes from Wildcat Adventures, a UK-based outdoor channel covering solo wild camping bushcraft and visits to remote natural and historical locations. This footage was recorded on April 20th, 2026, somewhere in Scotland, United Kingdom. The journey starts rough. Strong wind and heavy rain hit immediately with no protection from the elements. The environment pushes back at every step. Before she even arrives, comfort is already gone, and that struggle sets the tone for everything that follows. Slowly, the weather settles. By the time she reaches the lock, everything is quiet and still. The change feels comforting, but it can also be misleading. Camp is set up, the hot tent is prepared, food is cooked, and a routine begins. Then everything changes. She leaves the open area and enters an old abandoned castle. The structure is deteriorating, slowly being reclaimed by nature. The atmosphere feels different there, not just empty, but as if time has stopped, and that's what makes it unsettling.
This place is well cool. God, I wish I'd camped here now.
She moves deeper inside. The pathways are damaged, so she walks slowly and carefully. Plants are growing everywhere, even through places where windows once stood. The location no longer feels like a building. It feels like part of the forest, and that makes it difficult to understand what surrounds her. By the end, nothing confirms an actual threat, but the location stays with you not because of what is there, but because of what remains, and what it feels like to move through it completely alone. Some places don't need to do anything to leave a mark on you. Would you have kept going deeper into that castle or turned back? The next video of the night comes from Novice Wild Camper, a UK-based outdoor channel covering solo wild camping hammock setups and realistic overnight woodland trips. This footage was recorded on October 29th, 2022 at a woodland campsite in Wales.
Hello YouTube. I'm out on another wild camp tonight. Going to be hammock camping. I'm in Wales. Yeah, good, you? Good, you?
Yeah, good, thanks.
Hey?
The trip begins as something simple. A short overnight camp planned between other commitments with no real goal beyond a quiet and straightforward setup. He moves through familiar woodland, returning to a hidden spot he had used before. Because the location is already familiar to him, there's no uncertainty in reaching it. The plan feels controlled and uneventful from the beginning.
Right, so sitting here chilling out in the hammock, and I've been joined by a couple of yobbos who've come and interrupted my trip. I was thinking about having a fire, and I haven't got anything to really start a fire with, so I'll have to try and improvise with something in the camp.
Then the first disruption arrives. Two strangers appear at the campsite without warning. The interaction is friendly, and nothing about it seems threatening, but the atmosphere shifts immediately.
I've also put the fire on. Sounds like a electric stove. I wasn't going to, but I had a slight mishap with my filter and the CNOT bag. So, I don't know if it's the filter jammed.
The conversation turns toward bushcraft topics and fire starting. No tension comes directly from the encounter itself. The two eventually leave, but the original rhythm of the campsite has already been interrupted.
The hammock was very comfortable. I was very, very warm. Lots of usual odd noises, crackings of bushes in the night and trees and branches snapping, but yeah, it was all right.
Later, as night settles in, the environment begins creating its own disturbances. Branches snap. Rustling and movement come from deeper within the woodland. Nothing is investigated further. Nothing gets confirmed. But after everything that had already shifted earlier in the night, those sounds feel different than they would have at the beginning. This video is shaped more by disruption than by one escalating threat. When things begin going wrong, one after another, even familiar places start feeling unfamiliar. If strangers had shown up at your campsite in the middle of the night, how would you have reacted? That's it for tonight. Which moment creep? Drop it in the comments. Have your own story, share it with us, and stay tuned. The next one is even darker.